Hey YouTube, this is Faisha bringing you yet another Simply Lavish at home video. I am a Chi-Town girl. There is no shortage of things to do and more importantly, things to eat in the city. And if you've ever been to the Chi, you know that the quintessential sandwich is the Italian beef. For those of you who are unfamiliar, an Italian beef sandwich is a wet roasted sirloin or top rounds that's thinly sliced, baked back into its roasting juices or au jus, and then piled high in a hearty Italian roll. The meat absorbs all this flavor, the bread starts to soak up that au jus, and it is so good. So every now and then I get a craving for one. So one day, rather than hit my favorite local beef spot, I decided I would make it at home. There are no shortage of crock pot Italian beef recipes, but for one, they make way too many servings and they take way too long. I wanted that sandwich sooner, and so I hacked it. Here's how. So I started by going to the store and getting some ground sirloin, 90-10. Italian beefs are rather lean, and so I got a leaner cut of meat. I got about a pound and a half. Then I gathered together my seasonings, as you'll see listed here. And that's the real hook of an Italian beef, is those seasonings that really get infused into the meat and in the au jus. Anybody can do a roast beef sandwich, but it's those flavors that make an Italian beef unique. So I get my pan nice and hot, and I add olive oil since I am using a leaner cut of meat. I don't want it to stick, and that way you're adding a healthier fat back into the meat. Once I've got it browned, I add some of that seasoning blend, toast it all together to get the full flavor of the seasonings. And to replicate that all-important au jus, I hit it with some beef broth. I only added enough till they just start to see it saturate the meat, but you can add more as you see fit, and I'll tell you why you won't do that in a second. Once this is covered, I covered and let it simmer. After a while, I took it off the heat and just let it sit until I was ready for dinner. Now, there are a number of things that can top an Italian beef, but the very thing is giardiniera. So basically that's pickled vegetables, including bell peppers, celery, carrots, cauliflower, serrano peppers, all marinated in oil. Now I buy mild because if someone comes to my home and they don't necessarily like all the heat, then they don't have to have that. But for me, I like heat, so I keep a jar of jalapenos or sports peppers ready for me to add to my sandwich if I want. Next important thing is the bread. You want a roll that has a tan, chewy outer crust, not crumbly like a French bread, but this is Italian beef, so an Italian style bread, and has a thick and fluffy inside. You want the bread to be able to soak up some of those juices without falling apart. So now we're ready to assemble. So I slice the bread in two, cut a pocket in there, and start filling with meat. I've seen people top these with sweet peppers, marinara sauce, provolone cheese, and even melted cheddar cheese sauce. But I'm good with just the meat and the giardiniera. And there are two kinds of Chicagoans. Those who like their Italian beef dry, but in the majority you have those who want it dipped. And what that means is that you take the tongs before you top the sandwich, take the tongs, pick up the meat and the bread, and dip that whole thing in that au jus sauce. And that's why you want a hearty bread and use as much broth as you feel that you need in order to get that dip effect. Since I only like mine dry, I didn't use that much broth. And so here it is, the assembled sandwich all ready to go. Tell me what you think. If you try it, I'd love to hear about it. Leave your questions and comments below. As always, hit that like button, and if you're not already, click subscribe. Remember, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. And thank you so much for watching. Till next time, here's to living simply lavishly. Cheers.